So recently, I went to St. Louis, Missouri, a city with a ton of history. In fact, they pretty much have a museum on everything. Hello everyone, and welcome to another amazing episode of The Wandering Skyline. In today's video, we will actually not do what we were doing in the intro at all. Instead, I will introduce the skyscrapers of St. Louis, based on categories or superlatives, such as most expensive, most iconic, and a lot more. So let's get started. The first topic we will be going over is the most expensive. In order to find candidates for this topic, I found if the building was bought. If so, how much it was bought for, so I can find how much this building is worth. Or if the skyscraper was never bought, I could find how much the skyscraper costs to make. Alright, now that we know what qualifies, let's meet the candidate. So the first skyscraper we will go over for this category is 909 Chestnut Street. 909 Chestnut Street is the third tallest structure in St. Louis. This skyscraper in person is also just massive. When you look toward the top of the building, you just feel like an ant. Alright, so this skyscraper was actually never bought, at least to my knowledge, so the final cost of construction was at a whopping price of $150 to $160 million. Quite a lot. And this building is kind of somewhat on the boring side, but it is still just massive, and yeah, I don't know the architects exactly, but they did a decent job of making it. Like I said, it could be a bit more fancier. This building does come up later in the list, so stay tuned for that. The next skyscraper in this category, which is actually the number one spot for this category, is the Thomas F. Eagleton United States Courthouse building. It is the tallest government-related skyscraper in all of Missouri, at a newly updated height of 567 feet. I had a bit of confusion there because it recently changed. I think they either added 10 feet to it or they miscounted the first time, because I believe the original Wikipedia shows around 557 feet, but they might have miscalculated the first time, so let's get back to it. So this building was actually never bought and cost an insanely impressive construction cost of $186 million. So basically, the Thomas F. Eagleton United States Courthouse wins this category. $186 million is a lot of money, like, just for a skyscraper alone. So that is a lot of money. Next category is most iconic. I think this category's winner is pretty obvious, but I just have to talk about this one. Ask almost any American and ask them if they're aware of the Gateway Arch. I would not be surprised if the majority of Americans know this structure. The structure I'm talking about is the Gateway Arch. The Gateway Arch stands at an incredible height of 630 feet and is the tallest structure in all of Missouri, not including satellite or radio towers. Of course, but yeah, ask almost any American above the age of 32 and they have probably at least heard of it. And it's also just like massive. I remember first seeing this incredible structure. Remember, on one of the buildings I said earlier in the video, I said you feel like an ant compared to it. Well, for this one, you feel like a tardigrade. And I can only imagine other buildings outside of the state, and they're just massive. Like, I've been to Philadelphia. Comcast Technology Center is massive. It's huge. There's so many tall buildings, and this one may seem smaller compared to a lot of buildings, but it is massive, especially when compared to buildings in Missouri. So this next category is more subjective, or more so revolves around my opinion. For this next category, please comment your thoughts, as this one is more controversial. This category is which skyscraper is the ugliest. So my second place, or bonus place, is 909 Chestnut Street. I do surprisingly think it is a decent building. However, it's just kind of plain and simple, like most skyscrapers during that time. Alright, so let's get to the most ugly, which is 100% One US Bank Plaza, at a height of 484 feet. This building is a good example of trying so hard to make a masterpiece, but end up making it too complex. I mean, just look at this building. It's just too complex, yet it is so unique, and I'm just so sad at how this turned out. The second to last category is actually rooted in fact. Actually, going back a little into the video where I mentioned the newest skyscrapers, well, this is the exact opposite. In case you can't tell, this category is the oldest. This category was a difficult one, as St. Louis houses some of the oldest skyscrapers. However, technically they are no longer skyscrapers. as the specifications for skyscrapers have evolved. Like for example, when completed, the world's first skyscraper, the Home Insurance Building, was only 138 feet. Nowadays, the shortest skyscrapers are over 390 feet. So essentially, what I want you guys to gain from this short tangent is we can't include the older high-rises, as sadly, they don't count anymore. So the oldest skyscraper in St. Louis, and by skyscraper, again I mean over 390 feet, is the Art Deco Southwestern Bell Building, at a height of 399 feet. It was completed 100 years ago as of this video's publication date. Also, I feel I need to mention the bonus category, the Wainwright Building. I know I said only true skyscrapers, however, I do think this is as true as a skyscraper can get. True as it was one of the first skyscrapers ever created. If this building was completed just a few years later, I probably wouldn't have included it, but it's just too much of a classic to leave out. Alright, time for the last category, the most inspiring. For this category, I have to say, the Wainwright Building. I mean, this building was a pioneer in skyscraper construction. Designed by architects Louis Sullivan and Dagmar Allen, this building, even though at the small height of 135 feet, this building is still considered by some people to be the first true skyscraper. I personally think the Home Insurance Building is, but it is still a very cool skyscraper. It's just a beautiful building. Alright guys, thanks for watching this ranking of St. Louis skyscrapers based off their category. And please, if you made it this far in the video, you never have to do this. Whenever a YouTuber says to like and subscribe, you never have to do it, only if you'd like to. I'm just saying it would help me out. So, if you'd like to, please like or subscribe. Alright, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Also, this is a part 3 to my St. Louis series, so check out the other videos in this series. So, yeah, see you next one. Bye!